just until you had a chance to kind of
Okay.
settle in. So
are
we're
we
live
ready?
streaming the meeting. I think somebody called the meeting to order, maybe.
Nope, I haven't yet.
No.
Okay, well, welcome to the June 9th Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order at
6:34
34 p.m. We do have Pete Larson absent tonight, so we will be enacting our alternate. So Mary Stowe as our alternate will be a voting member tonight. So Mary, we're glad that we have you. I will take a roll call for attendance. Maureen Cowan. Can you say here?
Oh, we're having trouble hearing you. She can raise her.
You're off mute.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
You keep figuring that out, Maureen. Richard Hayes,
Present.
Melanie Malone.
Can you hear me okay?
You're quiet.
Oh, okay. I'll try something else.
Mary Stowe
Here?
and Judy Drake here. Okay. Maureen, can we hear you yet?
I wonder if she tries it without her headset.
Yeah.
Unplug your headset and see if it
You got the-
works.
Okay, any better?
Oh, I can almost hear you.
I just went and bought these because I had another Zoom meeting that was working and they worked then. No,
Think of her wrong.
I can't hear you guys.
Maybe if you turn the volume up on your
Headset.
computer or your headset.
Yeah, it's on.
You can also use the chat too, if for some reason.
Oh, yeah,
some
yeah.
technical difficulties.
There's at the bottom of your, if you kind of move your mouse, at the bottom, there's a chat option. And you can always type in there.
Yeah, I hear you guys pretty well. How about that? Is that any better?
Almost hear you.
Okay, let me go up higher. Better? No.
Hear the birds chirping.
Oh, that's probably me.
I was gonna say, who's got birds? All right, Maureen, when you want to talk, why don't you raise your hand? Because we really have to concentrate on listening to you, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I can't make it better. I don't know what it is.
Sometimes if you can talk into the mic on your headset, sometimes helps too. All right, so why don't we move to the minutes? I will take a motion to approve the March 10th, 2020 minutes. Is there somebody who would like to move them?
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Rick. Somebody would like to second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Melanie. Is there any changes or modifications to the minutes? Okay, not seeing any, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the March 10th, 2020 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Thank you. All right, so we will move on to our public hearing. Please email tolcodes@lansingtown.com. And in your email, let us know that you would like to read it out loud. I'm assuming somebody's checking those emails right now. So are we live, TJ?
Yep, we're live streaming on YouTube right now. Yep.
Okay. So we're not expecting Marty to come in or the Demarest, Jason to come in for the meeting?
Yes, he's waiting in the waiting room and I could admit him at the.
Yeah, go ahead and
board's,
admit him. So, because we're going to open the public hearing. So.
Okay. Hi, Jason.
Jason, can you hear us?
Hello.
Okay.
Yep, my audio was just kicking in. Yeah.
Okay. I want to be where you are. It's really pretty in the background there. I need one. Hide my desk. Okay, so we will have the public hearing. This public hearing will be electronic via conference call instead of a public meeting open to the public to attend in person on the following matter. Consideration of an appeal made by Jason K. Demarest, architect applicant on behalf of Lillian Babcock, owner of 30 Ladoga Park, tax parcel number 33.-1-57, located in the Lakeshore L1 zoning district for an area variance from Town of Lansing Land Use Ordinance, Section 504, Schedule 2, which requires a 10-foot minimum side yard setback. The applicant is requesting an area variance of 2 foot from the minimum side yard setback requirement to facilitate placement of a roof overhang. This is a type 2 action under the State Environment Quality Review Act 6 of New York CRR 6.17.5/C17. So members of the public may listen to or view the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting live or recorded on the town's YouTube channel. And the above reference appeal and its supporting documents are available for inspection online. All interested persons or representatives thereof will be given an opportunity to be heard. You can send comments in writing to Town of Lansing Planning and Code Enforcement Department, 29 Auburn Road, Lansing, New York, 14882, or send an email to tolcodes@lansingtown.com. And your statement will be forwarded to the Zoning Board of Appeals for consideration. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. If somebody would like to open the public hearing, I'll move that we open the public hearing. Is there somebody that would like to second that? Thanks, Maureen. So we'll do a roll call vote. Maureen Cowan, say aye. There
Aye.
you go. Richard Hayes.
Aye.
Pete Larson is not here. Melanie Malone. Can you say aye? Melanie, can you hear me? Mary Stowe
Aye.
and Judy Drake, aye. Melanie, can you hear me?
I can. It was just cut out for a minute.
Okay,
Aye.
you're, thank you. Okay. So Jason, we'll ask you to discuss the variance request and tell us, I mean, we did receive the packet, but we'd like to give you the
Yep.
opportunity to describe it.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and walk you through the documents.
Cool.
Oh. Says
Sorry
it's
about
disabled.
There we go.
It's okay. All right, so I did not submit the survey, but I thought I would just start with that. The parcel in question is this lot right here. 30 Ladoga. The owner of this lot also owns 32, and so really it's this neighbor that would be affected. The overhang we're talking about is on the south side here. North is up. This cottage was an older structure. It has been demolished. There's a septic system in the front. I'll get to that. The carport's been removed, the shed has been removed, so we've cleared the way to build the project. This barn up here is also slated to go away permanently because the garage below the cottage on 30 will support 32. But it seemed more advantageous at the time to adjust the lot configuration to I'll show you that in a second, to make the project move forward. But really, it's a family property, but it'll be used across 2 properties. Just a couple things to point out. You know, this is on the lot line currently, but the overhangs maybe a foot, or I'm sorry, this is on the setback line. This front exceeds, so everything about this original lot is, has deficiencies from a zoning standpoint. So the project is not only giving the applicant, a new structure, it's just kind of cleaning up some of the deficiencies of the existing lot. And one of the points I made in the narrative that was submitted was, we chose to build on the back of the parcel, which really opens up this as a long-term lawn space, and reduces visual impact from the lake, and also just upgrades the structure in general. So that's where we were. There is a gravel drive that bisects the lot. The lot is narrow at 50 feet. It was originally 55 at the back. You can see the old line was right here, but over the summer, last summer, the owner, Lillian Babcock, purchased this lot from the neighbors, and the neighbors wanted to square up the lot to 50 feet. And I commented on that further constraining the project once we got into it, although design on this project didn't start until the fall, so all that had happened ahead of time. But it's already a deficient lot, narrows. We have a septic in the front yard here. We need more space for future expansion of septic. So the lots predate the zoning law. So a lot of limiting factors. And then of course, in the back here, this line is the edge of the swamp, so you can't build in there. So where we ended up and is this configuration. The dashed blue are the setbacks. The purple here, or the pink, magenta, we've modified the lot. We did a lot adjustment to equalize the lot area, but create a little offset to allow a little more footprint here to get a stair in. I think most of you were at the hearing last fall when we were looking for a 10-foot stair tower. We ended up with a 5-foot, a straight run. We narrowed that up. And then the lot line adjustment seemed a little easier. So we continued with that. But that's neither here nor there. One thing that was a little unusual to me, I really should have known this, but I was not aware that the side yard overhangs are not allowed. Most zoning laws in the county permit up to a 2-foot overhang. So setback is usually measured to the face of the building. So anyway, here we are. But again, you've got the driveway, you have the swamp. A pre-existing lot width of only 50 feet really limits what you can do from a design standpoint. So we're trying to make a new, comfortable, long-term structure, more energy efficient and all that, and not be overly constrained by what really feels like a severely constrained lot. Also try to create a parking area in front. It's a 2-car garage and storage, mostly for a boat storage in the wintertime, but it's a 2-bay garage with storage in the back. And then also not trying to not get too close to the swamp here, just for long-term maintenance. So everything just ended up a little tight. And then in the end here, we'll have 8 feet to the overhang. And just as a point of clarification, New York State Residential Code doesn't require non-combustible overhangs until you exceed 5 feet to the lot line. So, and then you can actually even go further, but you still have 10 feet to work and then 8 feet for maintenance to get to the building. At the moment, this is all just a big shared lawn area, not necessarily shared, but just it blurs together. So that's the condition. But my point is, with a little parking area in front of the existing road, trying to build on the back of the lot to open up septic opportunities, not encroaching on the swamp, you're really left with a very small footprint. So we were squeezed in there. And we're talking 14 and a half feet wide rooms and bedrooms all along this side. So, it's a tight design. And then here is the, there we go. And so in the submission were the elevation. So this lower right-hand view is the view from the the access road side. So it's just this overhang right here that we're talking about. We're prepared to build it without the overhang, but you know, as an architect, and we just think it'll be a little nicer to see a traditional overhang. So I think that's really really the extent of it. I think I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. I do have a question on the, you bumped out the lot line on the north, so that's why we're not looking, we don't have to worry about that side.
Correct. Yep. We're
Okay.
we're adjusting the lot. So this little swath gets added to this lot. This little jogged area, which really follows the building footprint, it's
Right.
an equal area, so that doesn't trigger a variance requirement. And then everything else is now setbacks and everything is in conformance. So,
Okay.
so we solved that
Let-
with a lot line adjustment. Long term, if you know some of the swamp was available to purchase, the owner might buy some land and then at that time combine the lots. Because like I say, it really is a family property. It's gonna stay in the family for many years to come.
I just wanted to note that the lot line adjustment did go to the planning board for review and classification. So
Okay. Thank you.
they were fine with the lot line adjustment.
People have questions for Jason?
Just for the record, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep.
Okay, just for our records with the zoning boards, we should note that this project doesn't fit it's not technically a cottage. I mean, it's nice to call it a cottage, but for the land use ordinance, a cottage is a seasonal occupancy residence, I believe. So we should probably note that it's not technically a cottage, because I believe they're planning on year-round residence there.
Yeah, at the moment, it would be more of a, just like 32, they're both seasonal, they're there for the summer, but we wouldn't want to overly constrain the property. So cottage is, lowercase c, call it, maybe not the definition in zoning.
The single is kind of just a single family home,
Correct.
that's all. So this overhang is aesthetic in nature, not integral to the structure of the house.
Right. The overhang is, for weather protection.
Mhm.
It's just good design practice, provide some shades, solar shading in the summer. Yeah. So we're just talking about this 2 feet here.
Other questions?
You have it in the plans to, for the water coming off the roof or whatever, it's gonna go towards the back or somewhere besides the Bortz's property?
Yeah, we're hoping to put it in, we actually put gravel trenches in for improved foundation condition, and we can actually use that as a dry well. So the water will dissipate into the ground. We'll bring it around to the north side, and then eventually it'll overflow into the swamp as it currently does, off the land.
Jason, this is, we had a variance request back in December. This is a new design? Because I think at that point you were looking for a larger variance that we denied.
Yeah, the variance last time was about the stair tower, what we call the stair tower at the time. It's just a stair bump out. It's just a straight run stair. We had a switchback stair. At the time, we didn't expect, with the neighbor to the north being the same owner, we didn't expect that to be as big an issue as it was at the time. So we came back and we tried it without the stair. We had the stair tucked in the back, but it really compromised everything. We got closer to the swamp, and then we realized, with a legal pathway, the lot line adjustment, we could go 5 feet out instead of, I think it was 8 feet out last time.
Yeah.
But the lot line takes care of
And
that.
the south wasn't, we just weren't aware of the south line
Right,
at that
actually,
time.
That technically would have come into play had we moved forward. I missed that because the zoning law exempts overhangs in the front yard, but for some, and so the zoning language was just misconstrued, and we did not realize that the side yards, like I say, I believe it's the only zoning law in Tompkins County that doesn't provide some relief for overhangs. So it kind of blindsided me. I should have looked a little closer at it. Again, I think we would have been there anyway from a design standpoint. You know, we're trying to build a modern, energy efficient structure to replace existing structures. And one of the points I made in the narrative is that as soon as you tear down existing non-conforming structures, you lose any kind of grandfathered rights. There's no benefit to that. So at the end of the day, what we ended up doing is covering the lot with the same exact square footage of building footprint as compared to the previous cottage, carport, and shed. So we're not just trying to make the point that we're not overbuilding here, but we're boxed in with many constraints: the pre-existing lot width, the swamp, the access road, and then just trying to make a comfortable floor plan work. Yeah. No, it's really, you know, it's a small cottage or residence, you know, 1,400 square feet on the top floor.
Okay. Is there any more questions for Jason?
Can you hear me? No?
Talk really loud.
Okay, can you hear me? No?
Yep.
You can, okay. So I'm wondering if there's any objections from the neighbors? If they've been notified?
We did receive correspondence from the neighbors who I believe sold Ms. Babcock the property, the Bortz family. And I did forward that to you immediately prior to the meeting. They had just sent it a few hours ago. But I believe if perhaps Sue might have that and could read that aloud. Sue or
And
Jen.
if I may, just a quick fun fact, call it, if the property wasn't squared up at time of purchase, the overhang would comply with zoning because that south line dove to the southeast and made the back width 55 feet was the original width. So the line was over here. It's just kind of a funny hindsight that it would have conformed at that time.
Sue, you're on mute.
I have the email if you want me to read it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. So this was sent today at 4:38 p.m. Hi, CJ. My mother, Beverly Bortz, at 28 Ladoga, just received the notice. She has no problem with the variance, but would like a condition that all water runoff from the roof is captured and routed to the wetlands at the rear of the lot. Also, she would like to make sure that any grading does not direct any water towards her lot. Respectfully, Gary Bortz.
Did we have any other public comments that came in?
I have not seen any.
And I'm looking at the email right now, live, and there's no new information.
Okay.
Same.
Jason, do you want to comment on Gary's email?
Sure. Yeah, we have no problem. We wouldn't want water coming onto our property. So, you know, Lillian will do everything to direct all water back to the swamp. It's an easy sink for roof water. Actually, the overhang with, you know, is nice to move that water out of the plane of the enclosed space and then capture it in the gutter. So, you know, not that we couldn't do it with zero overhang. Well, actually, I take that back. Even the gutter, that's a question, but I think the gutter, I don't really know. It's not clear in the zone. The gutter itself is counted for setback. So I take that back. If we're drained, we wouldn't even get a gutter. We'd have to do gravel border along the ground, collect the water and French drain and pipe it over. But any way you look at it, we will make sure all water goes to the swamp. And that's a fine
Okay.
condition of the approval.
And before we close the public hearing, does anybody have any further questions for Jason at this time? Okay, not seeing any. Jason, once we close the public hearing, the zoning board members will discuss matters. If we have any questions, we will ask you directly. Otherwise, we'll just speak amongst ourselves.
Okay. Yeah. Should I screen share, or would you like to have the visuals up?
Let's leave them up, I guess, for right now until somebody wants to take them down. So we need a motion to close the public hearing at 7 o'clock. Somebody like to move that?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Rick. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote on that. Maureen Cowan?
Aye.
Okay. Richard Hayes?
Aye.
Melanie Malone?
Aye.
Mary Stowe?
Aye.
Judy Drake, aye. Okay. So, all right, we are back for deliberation within the ZBA. What kind of thoughts and questions and such do members have? Okay, this is where you talk.
So I just would like to comment
Well,
that,
I think
can you,
you can say that. Oh,
Maureen, go ahead, and then we'll do Melanie.
okay, so can you hear me? I would like to.
Yep, just talk really loud.
Yes, yes. I would like to compliment the design because there are a lot of restrictions. And given that and the situation down in Ladoga Park that's very similar when people are trying to rebuild on a footprint, it seems reasonable to me that the request at this point looks like a reasonable thing to be doing.
Okay. Melanie?
I was just going to something similar, that it seems reasonable, and even though the constraints were already there when they purchased the lot, I think the request is minimal. It seems to me. I don't know if that came through okay.
Actually, Jennifer, were you able to catch? I got the seems reasonable, but a lot of the rest of it, I really didn't.
That's about all I got as well.
Actually, Melanie, can you type that in the chat area for us so that we can make sure that we include that in the minutes?
Rick or Mary, do you guys have any comment, anything you want to share?
I apologize. My dogs might be going a little nuts. God forbid somebody walks by our house. I think considering the restrictions on this lot, I think this request is quite reasonable, especially if they take on the consideration of the water and that it needs to be directed away from the neighbor's property. I would be all for it.
Okay. Rick, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks like a great design for being situated in an area that's small and being able to keep with, you know, as many guidelines as it can. Again, I was cautious about the water coming off of it, but if they're going to take care of it, then, you know, that's good. So.
Okay. I agree with what the members are saying. I think with the constraints of the lot and only having this one piece of the variance, which is really the overhang, I think is trying to meet the requirements of the zoning as well as can be probably expected. And I think the design's nice and does make some improvements to what was there before. So I think that's great. And are we ready to, sounds like we're ready to consider the resolution? Are people ready to go over that?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
So
All right.
would you like that shared on the screen? Or
Sure.
would you-
Sure.
Okay.
I think we all have that. So for Mary and Rick, as kind of new members, we do have some background information that we read off and go through, and then we make our findings. And then fill those in as we go. And then at the end, it helps us make a decision of whether we're going to deny or grant. And Susan or CJ or whoever, I'm supposed to read all of this?
No, we usually start with the resolution clause, I believe, but I don't think
whereas?
I don't think there's a reason to read all of the resolutions and findings. You could just go to now, therefore, be it resolved.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. It's there. It's in the written record, so that's fine.
Good. Okay, so number one, the Town of Lansing Zoning Board of Appeals hereby makes the following findings with respect to the specific criteria for area variances as set forth in town law, section 267-B3B, and other applicable provisions of the law in the zoning ordinance. So A, we need to discuss whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. So what do people think about that?
I say no.
No?
No.
I agree. No.
Okay.
No.
All right, I see Melanie's no. So we do not feel that there would be any change to the character of the neighborhood, and actually would be making improvements to the neighborhood with the changes. Is that okay?
Yes.
I can't see everybody, so.
Yes.
B, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. I think they've kind of have tried to do everything they could to bring it in. And then this overhang was something that came about later. So I think they have. And they could do what Jason said was just not put that overhang on, but I think it would look different. Others?
I agree with what you're saying, Judy. Can you hear?
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, the aesthetic impact is certainly a legitimate board consideration.
Okay. All right. Is everybody okay with no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So whether the requested variance is substantial, I would say no.
No.
I think it's been minimized as much as possible. Okay, Melanie's saying no.
I say
Um,
no.
I
Okay.
think
All right, so we're signing no with that. It's a small overhang. And let's see, that I think it is helpful to note that if the lot line hadn't been adjusted, that it would not have needed this variance. So D, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. I would say no.
No,
No.
no,
No,
Okay. And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. I would say no.
no.
Okay. And I just want to remind people that, you know, when we came back and looked at this question in the past, we used to say yes to it all the time because obviously they're building a house and would be self-creating it. However, I think we've had some training on that. And it's really did they do something and are coming back to seek the variance because they had already done something. So in that case, I would say no. Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay. So 2, the determination based on the above factors. It is hereby determined by the Town of Lansing Zoning Board of Appeals that the following area variance is denied or granted. Based on the no's, I would say granted.
Correct.
correct.
Okay. With any conditions hereafter stated, if any, it being further found and determined that the benefit to the applicant outweighs any potential negative impact or detriment to the neighborhood or community. And 2, such area variance is the minimum necessary to adequate to grant relief and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the safety and welfare of the community. Do we have any specific variances that we want to add?
Conditions?
Conditions?
The drainage.
Yeah, do we want to make sure that there's adequate drainage to not have any drainage going on to the neighbor property?
Yeah, that sounds good.
That can be a condition, yes.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yes,
Aye.
Okay, all right. So the vote on the foregoing decision, determinations, and resolutions of the Town of Lansing Zoning Board of Appeals was as follows. Would somebody like to move the granting of the variance?
I'll,
Mary? And Rick will second.
second, yep.
Okay. So we'll do a call for a vote. Maureen? Colin?
Yes. Aye.
Aye. Okay. Richard Hayes?
Aye,
Mary Stowe?
Aye.
We're missing Melanie Malone.
She's frozen again.
Aye. She says aye
Okay.
in the chat. And I am aye. Okay. So that granting of the variance passes. So thank you.
Great,
Oh.
thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Is there, so that's all set. We're done with that. So thank you. Is there any other business for the board to consider tonight? CJ, anything that we need to know?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I
Sue
do
or Jen?
want to, well, before we adjourn, I want to thank Susan for the time that she has been the secretary to the zoning board. That's not the proper title, but whatever. And coming on and keeping us organized. This, I can tell you kind of this thing that I get to read is very, very helpful. So I appreciate that in the organization and such that you have given to the codes department over how many years have you been doing this?
Actually, it's only been, it's only been about 3 years, maybe going into the 4th year.
Okay.
So yeah, I've learned a lot fast, and I hate to go, but you know, I've got it's happening a little bit sooner than expected, but got to do what you got to do for your mom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jennifer
How many
has
years have you
done-
worked for the town of Lansing?
Oh, for the town of Lansing, 7 years.
7 years. Great, great. So, and Jennifer, we're glad that you're coming on.
Thank you.
And we'll be very patient, we promise.
I appreciate that.
There's a lot to learn.
There is.
So, Susan, hopefully my husband has made it there.
Yes, thank you
and,
guys.
So
When
we do
Jason
have,
Dennis was talking, he stopped by. These are beautiful.
Aw.
Thank
so
you.
thank you.
Very unexpected, but yes, enjoy them.
Good.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Maureen.
I was just going to say you're going to be greatly missed, Sue.
Aw, thank you. If you guys continue to Zoom, I can always jump on.
Okay. Right. Maybe you would like to join the board.
Except I'm going to be in Missouri. I don't know.
Well, we can wait till you come back.
Great. Well, thank you, Susan, and enjoy retirement. And Jennifer, we're glad to have you,
you.
on with the codes department. So, and
Thanks.
CJ, of course, we always appreciate everything that you have added, tremendous amount that you have added. So thank you.
Sure thing, anytime.
With that, I will adjourn the meeting.
Okay, and so that's
whatever time.
7:15.
7:06.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you all.
Thank
It's
you.
recorded
Thank
and
you.
we'll have a transcript for you soon. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank
Great night.
you.
Thanks.
Thank
Good night.
Bye.
you.
Bye.